I would love to see more experimentation with Diakite because, again, he's not the tallest guy in the world, but neither is Jared Allen. But at 230 pounds, I think he's a better fit to be a center than Evan Mobley is. And I think the more you can keep Evan at the 4, the more productive you're going to get him, because right now at 215 pounds, he's clearly not strong enough to hold his own. That's the thing with time. With Evan Mobley, it's going to take time. He's a 7-footer. It takes forever for these dudes to gain weight. The Cavs coming off of a victory against Detroit. And I think there are some interesting things to take away from it. Obviously, the Cavs were playing down a ton of players, and also Detroit was, right? Detroit didn't have Cade Cunningham. They were out, I think, a few more players. The Cavs were out, Karis LeVert, he's out. He has an ankle sprain. And then also Jared Allen and a bunch of other dudes. I think like 5 other people were on the injury report for the Cavs, so they were out. But something interesting happened in this game that made me go, we found something. Now, when I say we found something, I don't think we found like a permanent solution that's going to fix the Cavs for the rest of the year or something like that. But I do think that they found something that could be worth looking into, and that's Mobley Diakite. Now he's from Virginia. He had a really good preseason, but that's preseason, right? And in this game, they only played Robin Lopez at the 5. Well, he only played 4 minutes, period, right? And one thing we've noticed when Robin Lopez is out there is that defensively we suffer and we don't gain much offensively, right? He's not a sure enough low post scorer to really justify having his defense out there, and he hasn't been a good defender, especially in this Cavs system that kind of requires your bigs have better feet. And with that being the case, I saw something interesting with Diakite. Because while he's not a 7-footer, right? And I think we get so focused on height with these centers that we forget that they need to be big. And part of big is your weight. Now, the reason Robin Lopez plays center, even though he has all those defensive deficiencies, whenever whenever Jared Allen is out, is because Robin Lopez is 281 pounds. Evan Mobley, I think, needs to stay at the 4 at all times. Until he gets bigger, he needs to stay at the 4 at all times. And the reason I think that is because he's just so small, right? He's only 200 pounds, which is not very big. I think Donovan Mitchell's 230, right? You know what I mean? So Donovan Mitchell weighs more than Evan Mobley. And if we sort by weight, yeah, he's the small. I think he's got to be the lightest big man. Yeah, he's 215. He's almost as light as Donovan Mitchell, and he's barely heavier than like Karis LeVert. So he's the same weight as Donovan Mitchell, which creates obvious problems whenever Evan has had to play the 5, right? He's tall enough to play the 5. He's not necessarily big enough to play the 5. But Mobley Diakite, he's 230. He's only 6'9", but he's 230, which means that he's a little bit more sturdy and he has quicker feet. I think whenever Jared Allen's not in the game, if you're going to have Evan Mobley out there, you probably want Diakite with him. Now, again, that's going to create some problems when it comes to offense because Diakite, he doesn't have a bag offensively yet, right? He's a young player, not even raw. He's a young college player. He doesn't have a deep bag, right? He, at best, offensively can be Tristan Thompson. Screen, roll, dunk, right? That's really his bag offensively. But he does have some fast twitch traits. He is very athletic. And I think he has better feet defensively to where he's not going to be a perimeter defender, but he can live if he gets switched out there, and he can make some of the quick changes and rotations that this Cavalier defense requires, where when Robin's in there, they just can't rotate like they want to because Robin's feet are just slow right now. So even though Evan is 7 foot, like 7'1", I don't think he should be playing the 5 that much because it's the weight that's a problem, right? Next year, when he puts another, he's 215 right now, he'll probably put on another 10, 15 pounds in the offseason. When he gets to like 230, all right, Evan can handle that, right? But what we're seeing a lot when Evan's at the 5, and has to do 5 things is that he's just not strong enough, right? He gets muscled out for rebounds, he gets put out of position, or he gets into foul trouble because he's not strong enough to get the position that he needs to with strength, which means that he ends up trying to foul to get that position back, right? Like, so he just, that weight that he does not have is not made up for in his height. Now, he's athletic enough that even at the 4, Evan Mobley, he's athletic enough that even at the 4, he can rotate quick and still affect plays at the basket, right? You're not necessarily losing his rim protection because he's at the 4. I mean, this is proven because of how they play with Jared Allen out there. I think this just allows you to continue to use Evan Mobley defensively in the way that you want to use him. And then, yes, you're going to lose something when Diakite is anchoring the 5, right? He's not going to be the rim protector that Jared Allen is. But Jared Allen is not that much bigger than Diakite, right? He's only an inch taller than Diakite. Jared Allen, technically, he's listed at 6'9". I think he's really 6'10". Diakite's probably closer to 6'8", and he's at 243. I think Diakite's better suited to be the backup to Jared Allen. I really do, right? And I think Diakite probably, there's probably scenarios, right, where you're gonna you're gonna want to run Kevin Love out there, maybe Diakite with Lamar Stevens, so you don't lose much defensively and you still have that height. So you'll have 3 guys out there above 6'5", so you have good length, good size. You lose something because Kevin doesn't have great feet, but Kevin's a willing enough defender to where it's not that big of a problem. It's not with Robin. Robin just doesn't have the athletic ability, and it's a problem, right? Kevin's issues isn't that he's not fast enough to rotate. It's just that he's not like an on-ball defender, right? But everywhere else, I think he's fine. He's a good team defender. And then, probably going to have either one of Donovan or you probably have Donovan in there, or you can have Karras in there with Rubio when Rubio comes back. But you can have a nice little rotation there. And it allows you to still stay fluid defensively. You see what I mean? That's worth looking into. Now, again, this all relies on Diakite kind of being better and similar to what he was tonight in coming nights. The longer Jared Allen's out, the more he's going to get to prove it, right? And this is the one benefit from injury is that, hey, you get to test out different things, different rotations, different players in different spots. Diakite at center and just making sure Evan Mobley is staying at the 5 until he gets big enough might be something. By the way, Evan Mobley had himself a good game today, right? And I think that was helped because he didn't have to play the 5 for all 30 minutes, 40 minutes. He really could play the 4. There was like 15 minutes where he was able to just be the 4 defensively. So I think that kind of contributed to him having a good game because let's face it, the brothers had 2 bad games back to back, right? I don't think he played well against Portland and in that Milwaukee game, which is horrible from him. There was a lot to talk about negatively about that Milwaukee game, especially from Evan Mobley. But today he bounced back with 20 and 13. He usually has his best games when there's less guys on the floor, right? When Jared's not there, he has more space to create. His role is a little bit different. But I think he figured out something. His jumper was more fluid today, right? He went 2 of 2 from 3-point, which, hey, man, if he could start making 3-pointers, then dude, like, it might not matter. He could be 200 pounds for the rest of his life. Like, if he wants to turn into Kevin Durant, sure. But he went 2 of 2 from 3-point, 2 of 5 from the field. No, 2 of 5 from the free throw line, so he still needs to improve there. 8 of 12 from the field. So he had himself a good day. Plus 4 and plus or minus, so he was all right there. Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell both had bad days from the floor, right? Darius Garland only 4 of 19 from the floor, 19 points total. Really just got his points off of free throws, so he got to the line a good amount of times. Same thing with Donovan Mitchell, 9 of 23. So a little bit better than Darius from the floor, but not great. 12 of 13 from the free throw line, 2 of 8 from 3. I think they both combined. Darius didn't make a single 3 today. They combined 2 of 13. So not a great day from a shooting standpoint. But I think it's important to have these days where it's like, okay, they did not have good shooting days because, again, shooting is streaky. It's just how this thing works in basketball. Shooting is streaky. But you still got to be able to get your buckets one way or the other and still be reasonably efficient, right? And that's what they were able to do. Okay, I can't get buckets today. I'm just going to go to the line. I'm going to be aggressive, drive, get to the line as much as possible. Donovan Mitchell had 32 points doing that. Darius Garland got to about 20 points doing that, where he had 20, 10, and 3. So he had a productive day there. Donovan Mitchell, again, gets 30 points with ease on this team. True superstar at this point. I mean, he's up there in the MVP candidacy this year. Crazy stuff we're seeing from him. He truly looks like those comps. When people are like, hey, he could be the next Dwayne Wade, it's happening with him. He's not as quick as Dwayne Wade, but he's damn close, and his jumper is much better than Dwayne Wade. Well, not the jumper, the three-point shot. Dwayne Wade always had a decent jumper. But that three-point shot, oh boy, it's nasty. He got a nasty clip. 2 of 8 today. Not the best example of it, but we know when Donovan's hitting, Donovan's crazy. But yeah, that's really what you need out of them, right? Just consistent scoring no matter what. If you're having a bad shooting day, you can't disappear, right? That's the difference between a Karis LeVert, a Cedi Osman, and a Darius Garland and a Donovan Mitchell, right? Karis LeVert can get you 30 if he's going good from the floor. A Cedi can get you 30 if he's going good from the floor. But those guys can't do much for you if they're not hitting shots from the floor because they don't get to the free throw line a lot. Darius and Donovan, they can get to the line a lot because they're crafty, they're aggressive, they're smart players. They know how to get their calls, right? They know how to get people off balance and force things their way. If they're not going to be hitting shots from the floor, they got to get those free throw opportunities. So they played a tough, gritty game. That's what they needed to do, and they played well. I thought Cedi played well coming off the bench. Isaac played well coming off the bench, and it was weird because, again, they only gave 4 minutes to Robin Lopez, and even Diakite only got 14 minutes. So that's what, 18 minutes. So there was like 20 minutes of playtime here where either Cedi or Isaac were doing something to make up for the 4, right? Because Evan had to be at the 5. So again, I think we saw some interesting things in this game. I would love to see more experimentation with Diakite because, again, he's not the tallest guy in the world, but neither is Jared Allen. But at 230 pounds, I think he's a better fit to be a center than Evan Mobley is. And I think the more you can keep Evan at the 4, the more productive you're going to get him, because right now at 215 pounds, he's clearly not strong enough to hold his own. That's the thing with time. With Evan Mobley, it's going to take time. He's a 7-footer. It takes forever for these dudes to gain weight. It took Giannis like 6 years to get to where he needed to get, because if you look at them early pictures of Giannis was a stick. You know what I mean? So whenever he gets his growth spurt, well, not his growth spurt, but his grown man weight, right, where he gets that extra 10, 15 pounds we just get because our metabolism stopped working like that. Like, whenever he gets that, he'll be a much better player, because then he'll be able to do a lot of the stuff that he wants to, because instinctually he does all the big man stuff, right? He wants to get low and be physical. He wants to get these rebounds. He wants to play physical on the defensive end. He's just not big enough to get away without getting into foul trouble or without it hurting him offensively. So now that now that we can see, hey, maybe Diakite can be out there with him at the 4 in those days, or in the few minutes in a regular season game where we're just not going to have Jared Allen out there. It could be a nice thing to have, just to make sure Jared Allen makes it the whole season, because he plays so physical and aggressive that if you give him a bunch of minutes every night, he could do something that ends up hurting himself, just because he don't have any quit in him. So sometimes you need to help yourself and maybe just give Diakite 10 minutes just to make sure the chances of Jared Allen getting hurt are lessened. But yeah, I think that Diakite thing is worth looking into. And give him 20 minutes. Like, if Jared's not going to play tomorrow, give him the start. See what happens. Just see what happens. See what happens. We did this with Lamar Stevens. Turned out to be a good decision. Let's see what we got in Diakite. You know what I mean? Give him the start at the 5. See if that does anything. If it doesn't, quick pull, put Robin in, whatever you want to do with that. But if it does, you're in a good spot. But that's it for this video. Y'all have a great day. Have a good night.